Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ. Jesus' Sermon on the Plain, as recorded in Luke's Gospel, is just as pertinent and powerful today as it ever was. It does not matter a whit whether we lived in Jesus' time, in Luke's community, in our time right now, or in any time in between. The cultures, the context may have been very different, but the basic message is now and ever has been sorely needed. Oh, there's no doubt that it's hard to hear. Maybe that's why we've never quite been able to get it. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. It's countercultural. These things, these commands from Jesus, don't even register. They sound like platitudes from a naive heads-in-the-cloud dreamer. They are impossible. Jesus and Luke's communities were built on reciprocal relationships. Someone does something for you, you pay it back. And even sinners did that. It's just the way things were. So there was no great virtue from following such norms. Jesus insisted that that wasn't enough. We must go beyond. We must imitate God, be merciful and kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Seek not your own self-interest, but others' best interest. Do good without the expectation of getting something in return. Forgive, turn the other cheek. Impossible. What Jesus was offering was another way of living, a whole other world, the realm, the kingdom of God, right here on earth, where those practicing mercy will experience a taste of the realm of God as they build up the community. And that's what it's all about. Relationships, building up, love. Yet through the millennia, we have continued to confront violence with violence, power over love. We persist in punishing by separating and isolating offenders from community. We fail to seek out and attend to the conflict and economic exploitation and desperation that feeds much of the conflict and violence. When something comes into my awareness several times in a short period, When it gets through all of the static in my brain, I pay attention. That very thing happened this week. It's the idea, the practice of restorative justice. This is not new, but I confess that I've not given much thought. Yet 3 times this week, those 2 words jumped out at me. The first was in a commentary on this very gospel reading. The writer contrasts God's love with our tendency to make love and judgment mutually exclusive, where we cry out for revenge, retribution, and judgment. God holds out for restorative justice, a kind of justice we can hardly imagine, a kind of justice that has the power to heal both the oppressed and the oppressor. Restorative justice is about healing relationships, yes, between the offender and the one offended, the oppressed and the oppressor. The second instance showed that in action. It was a documentary at the Dubuque Winter Film Series called Circles, the story of an Oakland, California school that has committed itself to a process of restorative justice instead of the usual punishment of suspending offenders. The school is Ralph Bunche High School, often referred to as a continuation school, specializing in giving young people a second chance to finish high school. The film follows the person who serves as the restorative justice coordinator. It portrays actual students, teachers, and the principal of the school, and deals with real circumstances. The process involves circles of dialogue where those participating seek to understand and address the circumstances which contributed to an offense. It empowers victims by giving them a voice, and it holds offenders to account for what they have done and helps them to take responsibility and make amends. In some other circumstances, these circles support students who are dealing with crises. It's a long, challenging process that requires, first of all, building trust. Now, this might sound like wishful thinking, but over the years, this process has been in use in the Oakland school. The suspensions have dropped to 0. Graduation rates have risen to 100%. This film, by the way, is being previewed around the country and will be part of the spring film series in Dubuque. The third instance came as a devotional reading on Friday morning, written by a former colleague. She was writing about issues in her Chicago neighborhood, actually our neighborhood, because my condo where my son lives is close by the not-for-profit where she is the director. She wrote that in the light of the situations in our current justice system, she and others have made the conscious decision to work things out with neighbors and to never let calling the police be the first response. The work of restorative justice, she said, teaches us that we can and should take the time to hear one another, to acknowledge any harm done and all hurt experienced, to create space to be held accountable, and to do the work necessary to restore the relationship. She ends with this. This is Jesus doing what he does best, turning things upside down, inviting those who follow him to be in right relationship with one another and with God. Ego, fear, and shame be damned. Instead of worrying about their systems, traditions, and institutions. And I think that this is what the gospel reading is all about. how we experience the realm of God right here and now through restoring relationships, extending mercy, and living and loving as God's people. Amen.